Friends, welcome to Biology Made Easy. In this video, we'll discuss the adaptations of animals. During our discussion, responses of organisms to the abiotic conditions, we have discussed how the birds and mammals they maintain their homeostasis by maintaining their internal temperature and osmotic concentration of the body fluids. This is a physiological adaptation. There also we have discussed that there are some organisms who cannot maintain internal conditions, but they can move from one place to another place. Even if they can maintain also, they can, suppose you take the case of human beings, they are regulators, but when the temperature becomes high, they move from one place to colder areas for 2 to 3 months. The Siberian birds, they come long distances to Rajasthan National Park and Chilka Lake. These are adaptations. But in addition to this, the organisms to adjust themselves to the stressful conditions, they undergo certain modification, changes, which may be morphological, physiological, biochemical, or it may be behavioral. Now suppose you take the case of kangaroo rat. Kangaroo rat, usually it dwells in North America. So it usually survives in areas where external water is not available. Then how it gets water for its own survival? Two methods. In one method, fat oxidation. The kangaroo rat breaks down its fat present within the body, and during liberation of each molecule of fatty acid, water is liberated, and that water is used for other metabolic reactions. The second step is concentrating its urine. Usually during urination, much amount of water is lost as excretory product, but it concentrates urine so that the loss of excretory product is less. So this is how the kangaroo rat adjusts itself. Then take your second case. The second case is Bergman's rule. You will find in cold areas, or you can tell that in polar areas, the animals which survive, they are very big in size. Because when the size becomes big, the surface is to volume ratio is less. That means with respect to volume, since the surface area is quite less, that means the loss of heat will be less. That is why they can survive. Another is Allen's rule. In cold areas, again, the animals which survive, they have a smaller snout, smaller ears, smaller limbs. Then only they can survive. Because again, they have to conserve the energy. If it will last, they cannot survive. Then let us discuss fourth example. Fourth example, you can take the altitude sickness. Altitude sickness. If you have gone to any mountain areas above the sea level, above 3,500 meters, like Rohtang Pass, or it may be Mansarovar, or any other place that is high mountains, then you will suffer a sickness which is known as altitude sickness. So in this sickness, what are the different symptoms? The symptoms are, one is nausea. That means you will feel as if you will go for vomiting. Second, fatigue. Means you will find yourself as if you are very much exhausted or tired, both mentally and physically. There is nothing, but you will feel like that. And the third is increase in heart palpitations. That means the heart rate will also increase. But still then, how the person who moves to this high altitude, how survive? You'll find after some time, within half an hour or 1 hour, the body will adjust itself and you will feel that sickness is gone. That is physiological adjustment. So during this adjustment, what happens? One thing, there is an increase in RBC count. That means there is more production of the RBC. Number two, capacity of hemoglobin for attachment with oxygen decreases. And the third one is increase in breathing rate. Our breathing rate will increase, the amount of RBC content will increase, and the capacity of hemoglobin for attachment with oxygen will decrease. So it will take some time. Within half an hour, 1 hour, you will feel that you are okay. So this is a physiological adjustment. Similarly, we can take other examples as well. The fifth example, we can take the case of seal. Now the seal usually lives in polar areas where there is very cold. How it survives? Just below its skin, there is a layer of fat known as blubber. And this functions as an insulator. That means the external coldness will not affect its body. It is safeguarded. Then we take the case of fish. The fish which usually survives in Antarctica areas or any other colder region. How it survives? Because the external temperature is sub-zero. Then how the metabolic reaction will take place? In this case, you will feel in the below their skin there is antifreeze proteins. And these proteins do not allow the internal water to freeze. So even if the external water is frozen, but within the body, the water is not frozen because of the presence of these antifreeze proteins. So it leads to their survival. Then take the case of archaebacteria. Archaebacteria, they survive in hot springs. That means above 100 degrees centigrade. How is it possible? We cannot survive. But how it survives? Because it contains enzymes. You see, its enzymes can function even at that high temperature. And if you will take the example of Thermus aquaticus. Thermus aquaticus, this is an archaebacteria. And you know the enzyme is Taq polymerase. And this enzyme is used during polymerase chain reaction, PCR method. And even in 9800 degrees centigrade, it can synthesize the DNA. So this is again the adjustment, that is physiological adjustment. There are some organisms which live in a deep sea where the atmosphere pressure is more than 100 than the normal atmosphere pressure. So how they survive? They undergo biochemical adaptations. So these are some of the biochemical, physiological and morphological adaptations Then what about behavioral adaptations? Then behavioral adaptations, here also we'll give two examples. Behavioral adaptations. One, you can take the case of a desert lizard. Now this desert lizard is usually cold-blooded. When it lives within the bushes and when the temperature falls, then it goes to sunlight and basks in the sunlight for some time till it gains sufficient amount of heat. Then after gaining heat, again it returns back. Again when it comes down, again it goes. So this is a behavioral adaptation. Then another case is burrowing. There are some organisms to avoid stressful conditions in the external environment or above the ground. They create some holes. They create some holes within the ground and they enter into it when the outer side conditions are stressful. This is known as burrowing. And when favorable conditions will come, they will come out and their normal activities will be carried on. So these are some of the examples of morphological, physiological, biochemical and behavioral adaptations of animals and how they respond to the external environment and adapt themselves for survival. But how the plants adapt themselves, that we'll discuss in another video. But before that, let us discuss questions. So one question you can take: which of the following is a behavioral adaptation? A choice: fish in Antarctica. B choice: blubber in seal. C choice: desert lizard moving to sunlight. And D choice: kangaroo rat concentrating its urine. So which is behavioral? Then the second question you can take: which is not an altitude sickness? Which is not an altitude sickness? A choice: nausea. B choice: fatigue. C choice: low blood pressure. D choice: heart palpitations. So these questions are very important from all exams point of view, and you will be able to answer these questions after going through the video, and you must have learned something. Again, we'll meet in another video. So have a good day.